The RV Show USA.
Hi, it's the RV Wingman, and welcome to today's podcast. Before we begin, make sure and download my latest free RV report. It'll save you thousands when buying or selling an RV and prevent you from being ripped off. My latest report is available now at freervreport.com.
The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
And welcome everybody. Glad you could join us. Alan Warren here, the RV Wingman. Pull up a seat around my virtual campfire where we're sitting around talking about RVs and camping and just good old-fashioned fun with some of today's most popular RV influencers.
The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
Now, today's virtual campfire is brought to you by My Free RV Report. Learn how to save thousands when buying a new RV and avoid being ripped off. Download the most recent RV report at freervreport.com.
The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
Hey everybody, you got Alan Warren here, the RV Wingman. Glad you are with us today. We just tossed another log on the campfire. We're getting ready to talk about something or some things that you may be guilty of and not even know it. Depending upon where you RV, there are some laws that you need to be aware of, laws that you may well be breaking. Up now, our friends from Let's Turn It Up World, David and Tanya, are here to go over some of the you may consider to be sneaky laws where you could find yourself in trouble.
Today, we're sharing 11 laws folks in the van life and RV community break. Some of these might surprise you, and a few you might be breaking without even realizing it.
First up, sleeping overnight on some city streets and public parking areas. In recent years, it's become more and more difficult to find overnight parking. I think everyone in the RV community and van life community understands this. And in certain cities and municipalities, it's actually illegal to sleep overnight in your RV or van.
Yeah, be very careful because you don't want to wake up with a boot. Next up, sleeping overnight at some state rest areas. Now, many states have been cracking down on how long you can rest in their highway rest areas. An example of this is Tennessee. They only allow a max of 2 hours resting in their highway campgrounds, which is kind of weird.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
It does not seem like any kind of rest to me.
No, not at all. And Florida, well, they give you a little bit more of a break. They're saying non-commercial vehicles can have 3 hours in their resting areas, no more. That's also what?
Right. And they're probably trying to also leave room for truckers too. And I know RVers and van lifers have been taking up spaces, so we understand that.
Yeah.
But certainly it can be illegal if you're trying to spend the night overnight in a rest area. Make sure you know the rules of the state, the laws of the state, as well as the laws of that particular rest area. Pay attention to signs.
Yes, absolutely. And when you are going to spots that will allow you to camp overnight, like Dave was saying, just be respectful of the truckers.
Yeah.
The homeboys and homegirls that are out there doing their thing, delivering and driving across the country, they're a lot bigger than most of us. So leave room for them. Drinking alcohol in some state parks.
That's right. Some state parks actually make it illegal to bring and drink alcohol in those parks. We've noticed that particularly in California, right? Now, at the same time, these same state parks allowed van dwellers and RVers to go and spend the night in those parks. And so you do have to wonder, were folks actually cracking open a drink in those rinks? Because if they were doing so, technically they were breaking the law.
Yeah.
And there's no idea how strictly that is enforced, but just be aware of that. If you're staying in a state park, understand the rules regarding alcohol and alcohol consumption.
Yeah, and 9 times out of 10, signs will be staring you right in your face if you look for them. Just saying. Driving overweight in your camper van. Every rig has a weight capacity. So even if you can fit all your belongings in your rig, you have to be aware of the weight capacity limit. We know to this day, there are probably a ton of folks still driving overweight in their RVs. When we first got our RV, we were super excited. We loaded up our RV before hitting the road. We ended up getting to a weigh station and quickly found out that we were overweight and had to make some adjustments. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it can be really tough too, especially if you're full-time, you're trying to bring all your belongings with you inside your rig. And like Tanya said, we found we were overweight. You have to make a tough decision on what to bring and what not to bring.
Exactly. Like my Cadbury eggs, my Grogu, my extra blanket, my Buc-ee's, my extra Buc-ee's beaver nuggets, all that good stuff.
You need everything.
Driving through some tunnels with propane.
Quite a few tunnels prohibit propane in them due to safety concerns, and that's because propane is actually heavier than air and can pull at the bottom of tunnels. And so if propane is prohibited in those tunnels, just make sure you do not take your tanks or your rig inside them. Not only is it illegal, but it's also dangerous. And on a secondary note, we actually recommend that you always turn off your propane while driving. While it may not always be technically illegal, it's just much safer to do so.
So an interesting fact that may surprise you is that propane restrictions in tunnels generally depends on if, say, it's a tunnel that's uphill or downhill. Dumping your gray water outside of approved dumping stations.
Now, we heard stories of some people actually dumping their gray water out in the woods and not at approved dump stations. And now this is generally illegal and you shouldn't do it. Now, some will argue that gray water is just soapy water and things like that. But the fact is, gray water does stink and it's definitely considered toxic by many authorities. So just don't do it. All of the organizations that manage our federal lands have made it illegal to dump gray waters on the lands that they manage. Now, the lone exception to that is the Bureau of Land Management, or BLM land. And even within that, there are many exceptions within BLM land where you can't dump your gray water. So just make sure you check very carefully if you're gonna go on BLM land. And our recommendation is just don't do it. Don't dump that gray water.
Thank you, Professor Dave. Exceeding the maximum speed limit of your tires.
Now, this next one applies to RVers who are more likely in towables or fifth wheels with low rated tires. And the point is that many of those rigs actually have very small tires that may be only rated to go 55 miles an hour. So even if the speed limit on the highway you're on might be 70,
80.
right, you're limited to going 55. And so you should not exceed that for safety reasons. So definitely just don't do it. Be aware of what is the limitation of your tires.
Driving with your hazard lights on. Now, you often see RVers, camper vanners, and sometimes cars driving with their hazard lights on. And most time these are in situations where it's like fog or heavy rain or wind or snow. But in many states, this is illegal and sometimes can be more dangerous than just keeping them off. Now, we do recognize it's common practice for big rigs to put on their hazard lights when they're going up mountainous roads. And it's basically to let other drivers know that they cannot maintain the speeds to get up those mountainous hills. So we're not really referring to that situation. Darkly tinted windows. States vary when it comes to regulations regarding tinting on your rig. As a matter of fact, some are very restrictive. Examples like New Hampshire, New Jersey, and Vermont, they are super restrictive. And I think they don't even allow tinting on those front two windows. So moral of the story is, if you're gonna be driving in places that have high restrictions regarding front window tinting and you have them, you might not wanna go there, because if they require you to take them off, you're gonna have to take them off. So, okay, let me ask you this question then, Dave. So
Sure.
if I'm not gonna actually remove my tinting, it costs me a lot of money to do that. So what should I do if I'm driving in one of those restrictive states?
Well, you can drive with the windows down. Just hope it's not in the middle of winter.
Yeah, drive with my windows down.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks, Professor Dave. Living in your RV or even parking your RV on your own gosh dang property.
Yes, this one surprises us a bit, right? If you own your property, you think, okay, we can park or live in our RV on the property. That's actually not necessarily true. Many towns and municipalities have strict regulations about where you can park your RV, and may actually have a limitation on the time you can actually keep your RV on your own property.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that can even apply to a lot of places that have like an HOA.
Oh yeah.
They will tell you, probably right in those documents, no RVs allowed. And so you'll have to find an alternate place for that RV, and the rules can change at any minute.
Exactly.
So,
right,
yeah.
So if you do own land, make sure you understand what the regulations are on that property for an RV, keeping it there and also living in it.
Let's talk about taxes. Everyone's favorite topic. State tax domicile rule. Can a state tax you as a resident?
Yes, taxes, right? Everyone's favorite. And now this is really about what state are you basically domiciled in for tax purposes. And the general rule, which is the most common rule in most states, is the 183-day rule, meaning if you spend more than 183 days in a particular state during the tax year, you're going to be deemed to be a resident and domiciled in that state for tax purposes, which means then they will tax you in that state, tax your income in that state.
Now, these rules vary from state to state, so be aware of the domicile rules, especially for your specific situation.
Great information, as always, from one of the nicest couples out there in the RVing space. Now, what Dave and Tanya did not mention is laws pertaining to firearms. If you are a carrier of firearms, I strongly suggest you check and see what restrictions, what laws apply for the state you're going to be traveling in and through. One state like Texas has far different firearms laws than California. And the last thing you want is a firearms violation, I'll promise you. My favorite resource personally for firearms info is at gunlaws.com. Again, gunlaws.com. Thanks to David and Tanya from Let's Turn It Up World. I hope you'll check them out. We've got a link to them on our website at thervshowusa.com. There's lots more ahead right here on the country's only syndicated radio show about the RV lifestyle.
Helping you to learn so you won't get burned. He's back on the radio again.
Up Now is one of those segments that has, well, nothing to do with RVing, but I believe its message is powerful. Our friend Dwayne Noel, aka the Dry Creek Wrangler, has some thoughts. Well, wait for it. It's on mental health. Now hang on. How can a cowboy know anything about mental health? Well, the Dry Creek Wrangler is not your typical cowboy. In addition to his signature hat and always present cigar, Dwayne has so much wisdom, and he's got an interesting perspective on things. And if you listen, I mean really listen, I think you'll come away with some ideas you just may want to put into practice.
Sometimes you need to take a young horse or an older horse, a horse that's head is up here, his energy's up here, his focus is out there. He doesn't want to be still. He doesn't want to stand. He doesn't want to listen. Instead of picking fights, instead of running the hound out of them in an arena, what they need is about 8, 10, 12 miles of rough going on the trail or out across the pasture at a good, steady hammer and walk. And just doing that and doing that and doing that. It's mandatory to make a good horse. You got to have it. The same thing works for kids. My wife and I raised 7 kids, and we had 2 boys, 4 girls, and then a boy. When the boys got out of hand, we didn't put them on Ritalin. When they had trouble focusing, when they had trouble being still, when they had trouble, with their attitude and had trouble, that's just a boy. That's the makings of what is going to make a man into a go-getter, into a thinker, into a dreamer, into an inventor, into a writer. That's things, and these are not things that we want to cover up with drugs. Will, my youngest son, they were going to try to put him on Ritalin and stuff. And I'm like, Thunder, no, you're not doing that. What are you going to put him on? We're going to put him on woodpile. We're not going to put him on Ritalin. We're going to put him on woodpile. Now, what does that mean? It means we have a huge pile of wood out here. And that pile of wood is going to be transferred from point A to point B. And that's his job. We're going to put him on rock pile. We're going to pick up the rocks and put them in the driveway where they need to be. And I'm going to be out there with him. All right, he's going to work with me. We're going to put him on fence post. We're going to put him on post hole diggers. We're going to work. When things got up, it's like, hey, saddle the horses. Where we're going. We're going to go and we're going to ride for 27 miles today, and bring them back into line. Bring them back. It's work's what you need. It's what your horse needs. It's what your kids need. Not work. It doesn't always have to be labor, but it has to be physical, exertive activity. Children who run around outside and play and yell and climb trees and get dirty and chase the dog and chase the chickens and swim and do all this. They come in and they're too exhausted. Everything is worked and put back into place, and it's tremendous, and it works for you as well. There's been more than one time where I have had emotional, mental volcano inside of me about to blow, and I've gone out to the woodpile with a split maul and an axe and found great release and great calm in that. We don't work enough. We don't get enough physical exertion. Our kids don't get enough physical exertion. I was in Alaska one winter working in a feed store up there, and I had a lady come in and she said, I need a different feed for my dog. He's chewing his paws and his nervous energy, and I think the dog food I'm using is not right. So I asked her, I said, what dog food are you feeding him? And she showed me. And I thought, well, so I asked her, what breed of dog is it? And she said, it's a Catahoula Leopard. Now, a Catahoula Leopard is a dog that I think was bred, came into being down in Louisiana or Texas, down in that area. Very, very athletic, very intelligent, very athletic, very working dog, very hunting and working dog, not a house dog. And I asked her, I said, are you keeping this dog in the house? Well, yeah. Yeah, he's my house dog. And I'm like, ma'am, this dog is not designed to be in a house. He's not a house dog. Well, most boys are not house boys. All right, they're not designed to be in the house. You say, my boy, he loves to sit on the couch and play video games. He ain't designed for that. He just don't know no better. And a lot of the problems that children have because they have that because the parents, who are the mature ones who should know better, are not able or willing to direct what that child should be doing and get that child out and get that child exercising and running and playing and exploring and falling down and, like I said, getting muddy and drinking from the water hose and just whatever it is, But your horse is the same way. Your horse needs to be tired. You don't need to build a bond with your horse. That is a thought that has come about these days, and it's just foolishness. I train my horses to have a professional outlook and a professional approach to life. They're not pets. Okay. Now, a bond with a horse isn't bad, but think about this. All right. If you work for a living and you deal with customers, is it necessary that you build a bond with every customer? Now, stop and think about it. All right. Don't do a knee-jerk, idiotic, politically correct answer. All right. Do you have to build a bond with that customer to be able to work with that customer? No, of course not. I mean, you can be courteous, you can smile, you can be friendly, you can do this, you can do that, but you don't have to build an emotional bond with them. If you do build an emotional bond with a customer, then it's going to be hard. Listen to me. If you have to make a hard call with that customer, an unpopular call with that customer out of business, it's going to be hard to do that. You see what I'm saying? Now, in the world I live in, you've got professional horses, and that horse needs to be a professional regardless of who gets on that horse's back. That horse needs to know what his job is, and he needs to know the communication signals, and he needs to willingly follow those signals regardless of who's sitting on his back. All right, emotional bond is not necessary, and in some instances, it is not desirable. You need to be professional. You need to teach your horse to be professional, and your horse needs to work. Your horse needs to work to the point that you have a horse that when you come up and you tie them up, they're fuzzling, they're spinning, they're looking, they're whinnying at other horses, they're pawing the dirt, they dig a big dang trough out there at your hitching post. That is a horse that's not working hard enough. That horse doesn't have enough miles. That horse doesn't have enough sweat. Because if you would work that horse and sweat that horse, and I mean seriously work that horse and go out and ride, then when you come in, if he's a bit tired, he's going to be happy to just stand there and be still. Unless you're really messing up with his feed, unless you're dumping a whole bunch of sweet feed and high protein stuff he doesn't need and you're overfeeding him, then you're riding the feed. That could become an issue. You got a horse that's whinnying, that's dancing down the trail. You got a horse that's jigging down the trail sideways and carrying up. That's a horse that ain't worked hard enough. He needs ridden. He doesn't need trained. He doesn't need to be schooled. He needs to be tired. Less training, more tiring. And that's easy because you may not know enough to train everything that needs to be trained. But if you have a horse, you should know enough to get up in that saddle and be able to go. And owning a horse is a commitment. It's a commitment. It's not a commitment to take it down and pay him $400 a month and stick it in the stall somewhere and have somebody come out twice a week and ride it for 30 minutes in an arena because you can't be bothered or you can't get free to go down and do it. You shouldn't have a horse. You got a horse stuck in a stall somewhere at a boarding stable and you're paying somebody to ride that horse around an arena for 30 minutes twice a week. And then you come out and try to ride your horse and your horse is prancing, your horse is dancing, your horse is whinnying, your horse is going around. You took on a commitment that you can't fulfill. Now, a horse doesn't need training. He needs tiring. He needs to work. And it's the same thing with us. In this day and age, we just don't exert enough. We don't get tired enough. We just have all this nervousness. Our mind is going zip, 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 zip. And our emotions are up in the air and we're depressed or we're angry or we're frustrated or whatever. And it's a lack of physical labor. You know, you can come home from the gym or you can come home from a bike trail, even in the city. You can come home from wherever and you can be so tired that you'll forget to be depressed. You can be I'm just too tired to be angry about the world today. I'm too tired to be angry about this political party or that social construct or this or that. I just don't care anymore. When you sweat out more than just the physical toxins out of your body. You'll sweat the emotional toxins out and the mental toxins out just as well. Okay? And if you come to the school and I teach and you study and we go through the week, you can walk away having a good week and I can walk away having a good week and we never emotionally bonded. We don't need to bond. We don't need to emotionally bond. I can go in to wherever. I can go into Big R down here to get a new headstall or something. I can carry that headstall up to the counter. I can lay it on the counter. The young lady can tell me, can ring it up. She can be courteous and she can say, that'll be $59.95. I can reach in my wallet, pull out $59.95 and hand that to her. She can ring it up, put it in the bag. I can smile and say, ma'am, you have a good afternoon, and walk out of the store. And there was no emotional bonding involved. Why in the Sam Hill can you not see that that's what you need with your horse? That's what you need with your horse. Your horse needs to be worked and trained and then work some more to the point that you can go up and have an interaction. And there's no emotional bonding. Take the emotion out of it. There's times with your kids, you got to set the emotion aside. You got to say, look, you got to go get tired. You got to go get dirty. You need to scratch your knee up. You need to fall out of a tree. All right, you need to walk out there and you need to throw this rope around the neck of that calf to see if you can, and then he needs to drag you a little ways. And you'll have a cool story to tell, and you'll be tuckered by the end of the night, and you'll have a different and better outlook on life. Metaphorically speaking, get your butt off the couch. No, realistically speaking, get your butt off the couch. Realistically speaking, get your kid's butt off the couch. And metaphorically speaking, get your horse's butt off the couch. Because between the three of you, ain't none of you worth a plug nickel if you're not out there physically sweating and learning and taking chances and going and getting tired.
Well, there you go. More terrific words of wisdom from a real-life cowboy. And how do you think Dwayne got to be so wise? Well, it came from more than just existing, more than just living, but from working and the lessons he learned along the way. Like Dwayne, I believe that being healthy mentally goes hand in hand with being active physically. With all the distractions of electronic gadgets and screens, and more folks are sedentary, and that's not good, I hope you'll check out Dwayne's YouTube channel. He is the Dry Creek Wrangler, and I just love his videos. By the way, you can find a link to the Dry Creek Wrangler and many other interesting and smart people on our website at thervshowusa.com. This is the RV Show USA, and I'm Alan Warren, the RV Wingman. Now, up now is a really cool story. It is about, get this, finding love through RVing. I'm not kidding. You're about to meet Tom and Amy, who were both widowed. Both were RVers, and neither one was, as they say, looking for love. I think they were simply looking for a nice campsite. Turns out they found an awful lot more. Mike and Jennifer Wendland from the very popular YouTube channel called RV Lifestyle caught up with these lovebirds, and I just think this is so neat, I wanted to share it. As you'll see, if you're an RVer who's traveling solo, you better watch out, because you never know when Cupid's arrow is going to head your direction.
And we so appreciate your sharing your story on how you two met and where you met.
I'll tell you, it's kind of a long story short, but basically I had a dream of retiring and buying a motorhome and spending winters in Florida. And when I retired on January 1st of 21, I had a plan already made and reservations made that were going to culminate in Fort Myers, Florida, because I had a friend that had retired the year earlier that lives down here. And so I had all my reservations pretty much made, except I didn't know where I was going to stay when I got to Fort Myers. And so a person that I worked with, he recommended the Shady Acres RV Park. It's on the south end of Fort Myers, because he's down there every other week during the wintertime. And so I thought, well, that sounds good. And so I booked a spot here for a week, which was all I could afford on my income. And so, so while I was here, Thomas shows up that evening. I'm sitting outside having a beverage with Jeff, the guy that had recommended this RV park to us. And so then Thomas comes by with his little dog, Nikki, and he starts chatting with us because, you know,
that's what you do when you're in Florida. Everybody comes by, particularly a dog. A dog is like an introduction to other people. Yeah. So you met and talked that day?
I just want to go back a little bit. You were both widowed, right?
Yes, my husband passed away in 2018.
And Thomas, you had been widowed how long?
My wife had passed away in 2019.
How long had you been married, Tom?
Just a little bit over 50 years.
Wow. And how about you, Amy?
I've been married 18 years to my husband, he was 20 years older than me. And I think he wasn't really looking forward to the RV plan I had.
So did you used to RV before, or this was a retirement plan?
Well, when I was a kid, we camped in very primitive conditions. And so I always had this dream of buying a motorhome. And as soon as I joined the Navy, my family went and bought a motorhome and started traveling all over the place. I'm like, well, thanks a lot.
And Thomas, did you ever RV?
I had a 1968 Winnebago F-19 motorhome in the 70s.
Now, you were both solo RV travelers, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
you
me
guys-
the whole time.
Were you looking for somebody? Were you looking for love in the RV park? Or tell us how, Thomas, from your perspective, how did this meeting happen?
No, I was absolutely not looking for love. But I don't know. She really caught my eye for some reason. And whenever I was talking to him that night, and somebody said that we had to, it was quiet time at 10 o'clock, and that we needed to sort of shut it down, And so I told Amy, I said, okay, well, Amy, I'll see you all later. And I started to walk off, and Jeff said, well, Amy, I guess I'll go home too. And I'm like, wait a minute. caught my attention right away. That
Wait, who is Jeff?
Jeff's the guy that I knew from my job up in Indianapolis that had recommended this particular RV park at Shady Acres, which is now Blue Lake.
You're talking to a friend, and Thomas, you thought she was with him.
yes.
That's funny. That's funny.
Hey.
So what did you think when you found out that Jeff was just a friend?
Oh, my spirits went up quite a bit.
And you had a new route to walk your dog.
Oh no, that's my regular route.
Oh, okay.
And she gets me up at 7:30 in the morning, or she used to go for a walk. And so the next morning, I was out there at 7:30 walking the dog, and Amy's over there drinking a cup of coffee. So of course, I had to go by and say hi.
Oh, of course you did. Yes. Amy, from your perspective, did you have any intuition that something was going to develop from this guy that you just had met the day before?
Not really. I was like, he's got great hair. He's got a cute little dog, but he talks funny. But he kind of grew on me about the second or third day. I kind of got the feeling he wasn't going away.
Well, how did this all happen? That you guys suddenly decided that you had found love in the RV park?
Our first date, we went to the beach. I had a plan. This was on Tuesday or Monday. On Wednesday, I had plans to go out with this friend of mine that had retired the year earlier that I was there to come to see. And so Thursday, Thomas says, well, how about we go to the beach? So we went to the beach, and it was just kind of a walk up kind of a beach, not an official beach spot where you had restrooms or anything, or concessions or anything. And so we had a great time at the beach because it come to the point where it was time we had to get in the water. And so we go running down to the beach like a couple of lovebirds on, some beach show holding hands, into the water, and here comes a big wave and knocks Thomas on his rear end, and so I'm trying to help him up, and then I get knocked down. So
It was like a couple kids.
we took a beach home in our swimsuit, or at least I did. And then we had another date. We went to the casino, but he was leaving on that next Monday. His family came down to get him, and then they were going to Key West for a few days, and so that was the same day that I was heading out to go back north up to Indiana. So by the time I got back home, I saw the weather report that it was going to get down to about 28 degrees, and I'm like, I can't stay here. It's too cold. I don't want to winterize this motorhome. I'm getting out of here. So I called up Thomas and I said, hey, it's too cold up here. I'm going to South Carolina for a few days. You want to go with me? And he's like, when are you picking me up? And I said, that'll be the day after tomorrow. Oh yeah, sure, I'll go with you. And so I'm like, are you sure my motorhome will fit in your driveway? And I had a 25-foot motorhome, and he's like, oh yeah, that'll fit. And so then that summer we took a trip out west. We went to Las Vegas and New Mexico and everything, Arizona. And of course we went in like July and August, and it was like 108 degrees in Las Vegas. And I decided, if we can handle 2 months in this little motorhome in this heat and get along just great, we got it made for life.
Yep.
Now, one of the coincidences of this is you met in Florida, but you found out you both live in Indiana.
Yes.
Oh, there's a lot of coincidence.
Like what else?
Like my name is Ray Thomas, and her name, tell them what.
My maiden name is my full maiden name is Amy Ray Thomas Son. So I had the Ray Thomas in my name.
Oh, that's fun.
So you did this traveling, and it became obvious that hey, we can get along.
Oh,
And
yes.
you have children?
I have one, and he has.
I have one son.
Okay, so you each have one.
What did your kids think as they watched this budding romance?
Mine really wasn't didn't really matter to him at all, but Thomas's family was pretty serious.
Yeah, well, my son didn't mind.
They're a tight family.
But the grandkids and the great grandkids, they were a little disappointed that I live 100 miles away from them now.
They were used to him being around all the time.
Yeah.
Now, you both had RVs. You had a 25-foot motorhome. Amy, what did you have, Thomas?
I had a 30-foot fifth wheel that I left here in Florida, and then I just drive down to it in the 1st of January.
So you were snowbirds, and tell us, let me just jump forward. Now you both are in the same motorhome. What did you get?
We bought a Coachman Freelander 27 QBF, so it's on the Ford chassis, and no slides. We love it. We absolutely love it. We went to Mount Rushmore and Devil's Tower, and we decided that was great for a couple months, but Florida for 4 months down here, it's like that little motorhome was going to get too small real fast, and we needed a bed we could actually walk around and make without Thomas having to wear elbow pads on his elbows to keep from bleeding to death in the process.
Of making the bed.
And we love this little motorhome. No slides. It's just perfect for us.
Tell us about the marriage. And we have a picture of your wedding cake. And what was on the wedding cake?
We had the reception at the state park, and it's like, well, we're going to be camping. We were camping there for 3 days, and it's like, we're too old for some fancy smancy little bride and groom wedding cake, and we're doing it at a campground, so I told the baker that made the cake, I'm like, just do it like a campground theme with, if you can put an RV on there and a campfire or something, that would be great. And so it was a delicious cake, and it was really unique and beautiful, and everybody thought it was really cool. And we did too.
I thought it was really cool too. I saw a picture of it, and I thought, what a fun cake.
Many happy campfires, it said. Well, let's round this out a little bit for other people who are out there. There's a lot. We meet so many solo travelers. Many are widows and widowers like you two.
I'd like to encourage others to not be afraid of getting out there. And if you're camping solo, you can't be afraid anyway. So, just be open to getting out there and talking to people. And if somebody wants to, sit down and have a coffee with you, then, hey, you never know what might materialize.
I just love that. Wasn't that a nice story? I'll tell you what, there are more solo travelers out there now than ever before. And who knows, with an open mind and a willingness to meet others, hey, it could happen. It could. Say, I got to mention that Mike and Jennifer from RV Lifestyle do a fantastic job. Their reporting covers everything from safety recalls to cool places to go to, the lovebirds like Tom and Amy. I hope you'll check out RV Lifestyle and stay a while. They're super, super good people. Hey, it's the RV Wingman, and before we roll into our next segment, I want to invite you to join me around my virtual campfire on YouTube. That's right, the RV Show USA has a YouTube channel where you'll find the video version of today's radio show. As you know, I am not a lawyer, and I don't give any legal advice. I'm just a wingman who tries to point people towards RV dealers that I trust and believe in. And it kills me when I hear stories like the one our friend Steve Leto is going to tell us about right now. Now, Steve is a lawyer, and he knows a thing or two about RVs and the law. He really does. Now, you may say, that'd never happen to me. But that's what a lot of people have thought, only to find out they were oh so wrong. Here's an example of what can happen if you select the wrong RV dealer to help you sell your RV.
There's a legal problem that happens in the RV world and the used car world from time to time. And it happens more often with RVs, I believe. But I've had people call my office before and say, Steve, I had an RV, I wanted to get rid of it, which is pretty much a common refrain. And so I found a dealer that says they would take it in on consignment. So I took it to them, and they had it on consignment. And then later on, I found out they sold it. And they didn't give me my money. So I contacted them, and they said, oh, yeah, we just sold it. But they poke around and discover, no, they actually got sold a little while back. It's like, well, then where's my money? Oh, yeah, we're having trouble. Our bookkeeper was sick. The sun was in my eyes. Oh, we didn't send you your money yet? I got a check. Oh, we mailed you a check. That darn post office. And so I got a couple people sending me this story about an RV dealer closing and leaving his customers in debt. And part of the problem here is that some of the RVs that were sold had liens on them. And the liens weren't extinguished, meaning that somebody else is now driving an RV that you used to own, but you still have to make payments on. And the money that was supposed to go to you for the sale of the RV and or your bank somehow didn't make it to you. Several people across the Grand Valley claim that they're still in debt over a trailer or RV that they no longer own after a local dealer sold theirs on consignment. According to claims filed with the Better Business Bureau and other online reviews, and also emails seen by KKCO, the dealer in question promised to sell the RV for a customer on consignment, meaning they would sell it on the customer's behalf. Then after a commission and other fees, the remaining profit would then be passed back to the original owner. However, several customers, including a woman named Tessa Sheridan, said the dealer never paid them the money they were owed after selling their RV. It was about 2 months after we kept bothering them that they had said nothing And then it was just excuse after excuse after excuse about why we were not receiving anything. She said she and her husband gave the dealership their trailer at the end of the summer in 2022. They heard almost nothing about it selling or any potential buyers for 2 months. Then in October, the dealer's finance officer sent them an email saying that their trailer sold for $37,000. And after commissions and consignment fees and all that other stuff, they'd be getting a check for $31,177.50. According to this woman, though, she never got the money. And as far as her bank is concerned, she still owns the trailer because there is, in fact, a lien on that RV. So she said, we're still having to make payments on it. So we call the bank and they're like, well, there's nothing we can do about it until we get a payoff. So then still no check from the dealer. And then when she called them, they said that their money was tight. Money was tight. They said their secretary is going through some health issues. Oh, it's the secretary's fault. And she was late getting the payments out. Blame it on the secretary. See, the implication is they still have the money. And one of the most interesting things is that if you wind up in a situation where somebody's got your money allegedly sitting in a bank account, they just haven't gotten it to you yet, and later on the money's gone, somebody can come in and subpoena the bank records to see what that bank balance was. And it better be above the amount they owe you at that moment in time, because if it's not, it means your money's not there and it's not the secretary's fault. She said once she and her husband threatened legal action, and they said they would also involve the police. At that point, the dealership stopped talking to them. Other customers that they located in the Better Business Bureau and some who had emailed the TV station directly said the same basic story. They worked with a salesperson at that dealership. Their trailer or RV was sold on consignment, and they never got any money. The lot was gated up, chained, and locked. Now, here's the problem. Dozens of RVs and trailers were still on the lot, but no one was around to do anything about it, like sell the vehicles or return them. That's when a message to the Colorado Department of Revenue confirmed that the dealership had surrendered its business license, meaning the company is officially no longer in business. Now, customers who are owed money are left high and dry and in debt. And a woman at the top of the story says, if I would have known that at the beginning, I would have not brought my trailer there. She said she and her husband reached out to the Colorado Attorney General's office and was told there wasn't anything that could be done at this time. And she should understand there's nothing that the Attorney General's office could do. You could obviously hire an attorney and sue, but the problem is that I suspect that dealership, once they pulled the plug on it, you'd have to be going after the principals and so on personally, and you might be able to do that. Also, the question is if they posted a bond. But the problem is that in many states, the bond required of a dealership is too small to take care of many people. So she also reached out to a private attorney who required money up front, and she said that will put her and her husband in further debt. And this is the kind of case where I've handled cases like this in my career. I've been practicing law now for 32 years. There was a time when I'd file lawsuits against anybody if they had a claim against them that was valid on behalf of a client of mine. And the problem, of course, is I actually wound up with a bunch of uncollectible judgments. And when you get a judgment against somebody, it means you win. You get a default judgment, for instance, for the full amount, it's a piece of paper. And then you discover that the people you're suing have no more assets. Now, the thing I'm curious about is there's dealerships locked up, but there are dozens of RVs and trailers still on the lot. Who owns them? I suspect most of them, if not all of them, are owned by customers. So theoretically, those customers can come back and get those RVs and trailers. They may have to jump through some hoops to get them back, which is unfortunate. I tried to teach my kids to do the right thing, and this is just not right. What they're doing, it's completely wrong, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen. So one of the things that you'll discover is that a lot of dealerships, if you actually look at their name on their paperwork, it'll say, Mike's RV Shack of Texas, LLC. And so what'll happen is they'll be conducting business in the name of the corporation. And then when things go bad or financially they wind up insolvent, they just pull the plug on it and walk away from it. And so that might be all fine and good if a company's been just simply operating in an upright manner but couldn't make it. But if criminal acts occurred, there might be ways to what they call pierce the corporate veil. Because if you ever read the corporate papers that are filed with your state about forming a corporation, it'll say, what's the purpose of this corporation? And quite often, states will accept it. You simply say, this corporation will earn a profit in a lawful manner or in any lawful manner. But a lawful manner is the key. A corporation is not allowed to break the law simply because it's a corporation. So if a corporation starts doing things that are unlawful, then you can often sue the people behind the corporation and say, well, you had a license, perhaps, to broker vehicles, right? And so when you broker a vehicle, I guarantee you the laws of that state say that you shall, send the money to the owner of the vehicle promptly, and failure to do that is probably not just a civil action, but a criminal action, meaning that somebody could actually be prosecuted for a crime. And now this isn't the same as somebody holding up a gas station and running off in the night wearing a mask. But fraud is something that's illegal. It's something you can sue someone for, but it's also something that someone can be prosecuted for. And the only reason you don't hear about a lot of prosecutions in cases like this is that people will say, well, we didn't sell their vehicle intending to defraud the owner. We sold their vehicle with every intent of passing the money along to the owner. But what happened was a bill came in and somebody accidentally paid it out of the wrong account. Next thing you know, we didn't have the money. And when you have to prove intent in court, somebody was thinking and planning on doing why they did what they did. The intent aspect of fraud is actually quite hard to prove. And so with a dozen cases, I would hope that a prosecutor would step up and take this and prosecute somebody. But whether these people get their money back, highly unlikely. And so I know that in the other cases I've heard of, and I have heard of other cases specifically with RVs, and I've also heard of this problem with automobile dealerships, brokers, but it's usually in the RV or boat. I've also heard of boats. And so what happens is the company's trying to run, pay their salaries, all that stuff. And you think it's hard to sell RVs? Try to sell used ones. It's even worse.
I got to tell you, Steve is great. He's funny and he has some really interesting stories that he shares. This one about the consignment shop that appears to have conned its customers is not all that common, but it can and does happen. It really does. If you are going to consign your RV, please do it with a reputable company. Check them out. If you'd like my recommendation, you can find it on our website or just go to pplmotorhomes.com, put it all together, pplmotorhomes.com. They are the largest consignment RV dealer in the nation and have been doing it for 50 years, and they will never disappear on you. In the meantime, while you are poking around on the internet, go to YouTube and check out Steve's channel called Lehto's Law. Lehto, Lehto's Law. All right, they're giving me the signal to wrap it up, but before we do, to get the latest version of my free RV report showing you how to save thousands of dollars when buying a new RV and learn how to not get ripped off, you can download it right now on our website. Yes, you can, at thervshowusa.com. And remember, if you're looking for a great RV dealer to do business with, I hope you'll check out those of the RV Dealers I Trust Network, providing the absolute best buying and ownership experience ever. Go to rvdealersitrust.com. And finally, a special thanks to you for joining me around our virtual campfire. Till next time, I'm Alan Warren, the RV Wingman. Be safe, have fun, play nice, and don't leave your good manners at home.
The RV Show USA. Start living